Super Mario Galaxy was Mario's first real journey into the outer reaches of the universe, becoming a galaxy globetrotter in the process. Despite having some of the best music in the Mario series and some of the most creative platforming puzzles, the game has an incredible story that is the basis for many Mario theories. While this game takes Mario away from his native Mushroom Kingdom once again, there's still many implications to the lore caused from this game. With that in mind, I'm the Mario Minister, your host 24 Kevin, here for 24 Kevintendo, and this is the story you might not know, Super Mario Galaxy 1. So let's start from the beginning, and the story we gather from the manual, as is tradition, which coincidentally is also the start of the game. Every 100 years, a comet appears in the skies above the Mushroom Kingdom. The comet was so large one year, it filled the skies and sent countless shooting stars raining down. The Toads brought the shooting stars to the castle, where they became a great power star. It should have been a very happy time for the citizens of the Mushroom Kingdom. That was the night of the Star Festival, held once every 100 years to celebrate the comet. It was a happy time in the Mushroom Kingdom. Then one night, Mario received a letter. Dear Mario, I'll be waiting for you at the castle on the night of the Star Festival. There's something I'd like to give you. From Peach. With the invitation in hand, Mario headed off to the castle just as the Star Festival was getting into full swing. Surrounded by Toads gleefully trying to catch falling star bits, Mario was looking forward to the night's festivities. But then, something happened. Mario approaches the castle through the Star Festival with starbits showering the land, until Bowser's forces invade and capture Princess Peach's castle with the help of a UFO, which, according to the Mario Wiki, more than likely belongs to the Top Men. They seem to follow the boss, Top Maniac, as their leader, and other than that, not much is known about them. Mario barely makes it to the castle, but before he has the chance to save Peach, he is tossed from the space-traveling castle by Comet, with a star-shaped creature jumping from Peach's arms in an apparent attempt to both save Mario and avoid being warped to the center of the galaxy. Mario awakens on a strange planet, where the apparent same white star from earlier transforms into a Star Bunny to play a game of hide-and-seek. Once capturing all 3 Star Bunnies, we find out that the planet we are on is called the Gateway to the Starry Sky, and the White Luma apparently warped us there for safety. Honestly, a better alternative than falling to Earth in my opinion. We are then introduced to one of the most mysterious figures in Mario lore, Rosalina. Rosalina is the watcher and protector of the cosmos, but we'll get more into her story in a little bit. In order to save Princess Peach, Rosalina entrusts Luma to Mario, granting him the power to spin. Doesn't seem that great, does it? Well, it does when you consider that it also enables you to travel through space. Man, I wish it worked like that for me. Instead, I just get dizzy. Mario takes off to one of Bowser's new galaxies and recovers his first Grand Star, shutting down one of Bowser's generators in the process. Interestingly enough, Bowser-created galaxies are the only ones that contain Grand Stars, and seemingly are the only ones that contain technology-based enemies, allowing them to siphon the power of the Grand Star, similar to our next location. Once Mario retrieves the first Grand Star, we enter the Comet Observatory, home to Rosalina and the Lumas. After a quick thanks, Rosalina informs us that the Comet Observatory is the blue comet we see at the Star Festival every 100 years. This year, however, as they made their pass, a force latched onto their ship and drained their ship of their power source, the Power Stars. Without its power source, the ship entered a hibernation state and froze in place, blaming Bowser for their misfortunes, and blaming themselves for Bowser discovering how to use the Power Stars for interdimensional travel. Unfortunately, the observatory appears to only scatter star bits when it's in comet form, and can't generate its own power stars. Thus, Rosalina tells the player to travel to nearby galaxies, collecting more power stars to power their trip through the galaxy. The observatory also has a unique feature that uses grand stars to create new domes that Rosalina and the Lumas use to travel to different worlds. After traveling to various galaxies and collecting all the stars available, Mario arrives at the center of the galaxy, finally defeating Bowser with a planet-hopping pummeling. Mario retrieves the Grand Star from the reactor and travels with Peach to safety. Or so we think. Bowser's reactor had unintended consequences and actually causes a giant black hole after a nearby planet goes supernova. After the black hole started to pull in Peach's castle and many other planets in the surrounding area, Lumas sacrifice themselves as they plunge into the black hole. This causes a huge implosion that seemingly destroys the galaxy in a giant flash of light, until we are reunited with Rosalina in a strange space cosmos. This causes a huge implosion that seemingly destroys the entire galaxy in a giant flash of light, until we are reunited with Rosalina in a strange space cosmos, and receive a somewhat ominous message from her. Do you hear the baby stars? These newborns will grow up to become galaxies someday. When stars die, they turn to stardust and scatter across the cosmos. Eventually that stardust reforms to create a new star, and so the cycle of life continues. But the cycle never repeats itself in the same way, so you'll see. There's another flash of light, and suddenly Mario is awakening in the Mushroom Kingdom, where there's no longer an invasion going on, but instead a party seemingly with Bowser's buddies also being invited, with their ship now being parked in the harbor instead of attacking. Bowser and Peach awaken as we get a final goodbye from Rosalina. Yes, all new life carries the essence of stars, even all of you. Mario looks to the sky and lets out a hearty, "Welcome, new galaxy!" One final cutscene shows us Rosalina looking over the planet and letting Mario know, "I will watch over you from beyond the stars," before setting off on her blue comet. As quick as the mysterious figure was here, she had already left. But Nintendo didn't leave us entirely in the dark when it comes to her backstory. Throughout the game, Rosalina reads her history to the Lumas in the form of a storybook. Our story begins a very, very long time ago, with a young girl. One day, this girl spotted a rusted spaceship holding a small star child. "What's your name? Are you lost?" the girl asked the star child. "I'm Luma. I'm waiting for Mama. She's coming for me on a comet," said the star child, who had been waiting day and night. "Don't worry, I'll wait with you," the little girl promised Luma. At nightfall, the little girl borrowed her father's telescope and peered into the sky. She looked and looked, but saw nothing. Hours turned to days, and then years, but the sky revealed nothing. Finally, the little girl sighed and said to Luma, "If we stay here looking much longer, I'll be an old lady soon." But then she had an idea. "Why don't we go out there and find your mother ourselves?" The girl and the Luma fixed up the rusty spaceship, and the two set sail into the starry sky. And this is how the search for the celestial mother began. Days passed with no sight of the comet, or even a single planet. Instead, asteroids extended for as far as the eye could see. "If I had known it was going to take this long, I would have packed more jam," said the little girl, above the rumble of her belly. Before they left, she had packed all the essentials: telescope, butterfly net, stuffed bunny, bread, milk, jam, and apricot-flavored tea. But I forgot to bring water! At this, Luma burst into gales of laughter, and the girl began to pout. "As long as I have star bits, I'll be fine," said Luma. "Want some?" The little girl couldn't stay mad after hearing this. Luma continued to laugh, and the girl couldn't help but join in. "All right, maybe just a nibble." Leaning far out of the ship, the pair began to collect star bits with the girl's net. They almost fell out a few times, but they kept on collecting. The star bits tasted like honey. A beam of light pierced through the ship's window. Thinking it was the morning sun, the girl peered through the window, only to find a turquoise blue comet shimmering at her. The little girl shook the Luma awake and shouted excitedly, We have to get to that comet! The pair descended on the comet and found that it was made of ice. They looked high and low, but Luma's mother was nowhere to be found. Exhausted, the little girl sat down with a flop, utterly unable to take another step. Look! Peering down at the icy ground where the Luma was pointing, the girl suddenly noticed a big cluster of star bits encased in the ice. Pretty good, huh? Finding star bits is my specialty, said Luma, beaming. There's ice here, but it's so warm. I'll bet there's water here too. The two decide to stay on the comet for a while. Riding the turquoise comet, the pair continued their search for Luma's mother. One night, the girl dreamed about her own mother. Where are you going? She asked her mother's retreating back. Without turning, her mother replied, Don't fret, dearest. I'm not going anywhere. I'm always watching over you, like the sun in the day and the moon in the night. A wave of sadness washed over the girl. What about when it rains and I can't see the sun or the moon? Her mother thought for a moment before responding. I will turn into a star in the clouds and wait for your tears to dry. When she awoke, the girl's face was damp with tears. You have star bits in your eyes, said Luma to the girl. Wiping her face, the girl replied, These are tears, not star bits. I'm crying because I'll never see my mother again. At this, Luma began to cry too. Mama, oh Mama. The pair traveled through the starry skies, and though they encountered many other comets, not one of them held Luma's mother. Luma was despondent. Now, Luma, the rain clouds won't go away if you keep crying, the girl said, giving Luma a squeeze. I'll give you a present if you stop. The girl closed her eyes and said gently, I'll take care of you. With these words, she felt a small spark in her heart. The kitchen will go here, and the library will go over there, the girl said busily to herself. We'll put the gate here. Ever since the girl took Luma under her care, she'd been busting about at a feverish pace. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it to make a happy home. It turned out that star bits weren't the only things buried in the ice. There were tools and furniture unlike any they had seen, and the girl used them to build a home. Looking at the completed house, Luma remarked, Don't you think it's awfully big for just the two of us? With a library, bedroom, kitchen, fountain, and gate, it was certainly spacious, but still, something seemed to be missing. If only my father, brother, and mother were here, the girl said wistfully. Indeed, the house was too large for its two small residents. That night, clutching her favorite stuffed bunny close to her heart, the girl fell asleep in the starship. Then one day, while the girl sat sipping tea, a tiny apricot-colored planet appeared on the horizon. From the planet, another Luma of the same color emerged. Do you two know each other? The girl asked the two Lumas gleefully. Despite the girl's excitement, they seemed uneasy. The two Lumas neither drew closer nor backed away from each other. Instead, they just stared. Then one of the Lumas broke the silence. My mama! At once the apricot Luma parroted back, My mama! My mama! My mama! My mama! The two Lumas began to dance around the girl frantically, and neither showed any sign of stopping. The girl was so charmed by this adorable scene that she couldn't help but laugh. And that's when something very strange happened. Suddenly, more Lumas began to pop out from the apricot planet. They were different colors, but they all showed the same thing. My mama! My mama! The sight of all the shouting Lumas only made the girl laugh harder. What am I gonna do with all these children? The Lumas just stared blankly as she doubled over laughing. I guess we'll have to name each and every one of you. Tomorrow, once she had finished naming all of them, she would begin moving all the Lumas into a new house. After seeing their 100th comet, a sudden thought popped into the girl's head. I wonder if my home planet is still as blue as it was. That's when she remembered her father's telescope. Peeking into the telescope, a tiny blue dot floated into sight. It was smaller than a star bit. How strange. It's so far away, but it feels so close. She twisted the knob of the telescope, and the blue dot grew until she could make out the grassy hill dotted with flowers. It seemed very familiar to her. Zooming even closer, a terrace on the hill came into view. I used to go stargazing there when I lived on my home planet." She remembered rubbing the sleep out of her eyes as she followed her father up to that hill to look at the stars. She remembered how her and her brother would sled down that hill. She remembered having picnics with her mother on that hill on bright and windy days. And, "I want to go home! I want to go home right now!" The girl burst into tears as the Lumas didn't know what to do. "I want to go home! I want to go back to my house by the hill! I want to see my mother!" The girl was shouting now, her face wet with tears. "But I know she's not there. I knew all along she wasn't out there in the sky because she's sleeping under the tree of the hill." The girl's cries echoed through the stars, and a hush fell over the area. Though usually quite cheery, one day the girl became sad again. Luma drew close and tried to comfort her. "Mama, you still have me. And don't be sad about your mama, because she's part of you. That means she's always close by. It's like me. I love Starbits because they remind me of my mama." "No, no," the girl said, unable to stop the tears. A lonely look flickered across the Luma's face, but it was soon replaced by a wide grin. "I have an idea. I will transform into a comet, a soaring comet that can carry you all on this journey." With that, Luma, trailing bands of white, soared high into the sky and just as quickly started to plummet back down. Kaboom! Kablam! The ground shook, and a bright light poured out of the crater that the Luma had created. The bands of light twisted together to form a comet tail, and then Luma emerged, reborn as a comet. The girl could scarcely believe her eyes. But how? She kept asking. "Our destiny as Lumas is to transform into different things," said a red Luma who had suddenly appeared. "Stars, comets, planets, we can become all of these things. When I grow up, I want to become a star that makes someone special smile," said a green Luma. A blue Luma chimed in. "That Luma turned into a real cutie of a comet, didn't he?" All the Lumas together said, "No more crying, Mama." "Thank you," said the girl in a whisper, and she pulled the Lumas close and hugged them. From that day on, starbits no longer fell from the girl's eyes. The comet set forth for the girl's home planet, its long tail blazing proudly behind it. With its many Lumas and telescopes, the comet was quite the sight to behold. The girl and the Lumas were proud to call it home. At a welcoming party for a new Luma, the girl gathered everyone in the kitchen and said in a louder voice than usual, "All right, everyone, let's make a cake sprinkled with star bits. Then it will be a star cake." The Lumas excitedly began to gather the ingredients. As she watched the Lumas scurry about, the girl smiled and thought to herself, "This is my family now, and I will stay with them until they're ready to leave the nest. And when they do leave, I'll see them off with a smile, because that's what makes a mother happiest." That night when the girl laid down to sleep, a soft light enveloped her and reminded her of the blue planet she once called home. "But it would be nice to return home once every 100 years to nap in my favorite sleeping nook." The comet carrying the Lumas and the girl continued its journey to this very day. With more family members in tow than can be counted, it's said that the comet visits the girl's home planet once every 100 years, its proud white tail glittering in the sky. The end. Yeah, that was long, but hey, this story is an integral part into Super Mario lore. And from this story, it looks like we can actually figure out a few things from Rosalina's past. For one, she is the one who started the Stardust Festival and continues the tradition when she returns to her home planet every 100 years to try and visit where her mother sleeps. Yes, unfortunately, it's been such a long time since Rosalina's mother passed away that she took to the skies, and her new apricot Luma friend came to be. There, she became mother to the Lumas and protector of the cosmos, with great powers and great responsibilities, only coming home every 100 years to see where her mother rests. To me, this seems to indicate that Rosalina could be an ancestor of Peach that ran away because she wasn't ready to be queen. If that was in fact true, then it would stand to reason Rosalina's father remarried and possibly created the new ancestry line that leads to Peach. Now what's interesting about the Star Festival is thanks to simple math, we can actually figure out approximately how old the Star Festival could be, and in relation, how old Rosalina could be. From what we understand, power stars can only be created from the star bits from the comet that visits every 100 years. And the most known power stars available at one time in the Mushroom Kingdom is 150, judging by how many stars are available in Super Mario 64 DS. Therefore, if one power star was created every 100 years, since the start of the festival, then Rosalina could therefore be as old as 15,100 years old. Granted, that's an excessive estimate judging by the maximum outcome. For all we know, they could have retrieved all 150 power stars in 1 year. And this would result in Rosalina being closer to a little over 100 years in age. But I think it's a little more likely answer could be potentially some middle ground. Unfortunately, we won't be able to determine this for sure until we get more information about how many star bits equal a power star, but if we ever got that, we'd be able to determine Rosalina's approximate age. Now, despite us having somewhat of a history into the past of Rosalina and some of the Mushroom Kingdom, we unfortunately are left with many questions. The most pressing question is, though, what exactly happens at the end of Super Mario Galaxy? There's still a huge pressing question. What happens at the end of Super Mario Galaxy? There's a huge black hole, everything explodes, you're suddenly in a white tunnel, there's a giant white flash of light, and then poof! You're back in the Mushroom Kingdom like nothing ever happened. How could this even be possible? Well, for that, you guys are gonna have to wait for Super Mario Galaxy 2. That answers a lot of unanswered questions and actually pieces together some crucial pieces of the puzzle. And unfortunately, you're gonna have to wait for the next episode to hear more about that. This episode went on a lot longer than I intended it to go, mostly due to Rosalina's storybook, but I thought it was important for you guys to hear the story, especially for those who hadn't heard it yet for a lore perspective to understand where Rosalina really came from. If you have any questions about the storybook or anything about lore in Super Mario Galaxy, feel free to leave a comment down below. I will try to answer it as best as I can. And don't worry, I already have the script for Super Mario Galaxy 2, the story you might not know, already written, so the wait will not be nearly as long between episodes, so please bear with me guys as I try to get that out to you as soon as I possibly can. Anyways, for everyone here at 24KevNintendo, I'm your host, 24Kevin. See you guys next time. Hope you had a great day. Bye!